Hey everyone, good morning. Happy Friday. Daily drop-in, tuning in every single morning, Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. Eastern. I feel like I always want to say Central. I have Dave Schmittou with me. Dave, you are in Central Time Zone, so we can tell people this is at 7 a.m. Eastern, but right now it's 6 a.m. for us.
It
So
is 6 a.m. real time, and I am feeling it, Ray.
yes, it is exhausting, but we are ready to kick off your morning. No matter how sleepy we all are, we are in this together. We have an hour of incredible information headed your way. So please feel free to comment in the chat as you are watching, either on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch, or even those of you listening on the episodes that are featured at Teach Better Talk podcast. But we have a ton in store. Make sure you go grab your coffee because we'll start with our daily drop-in morning cheers and then we'll get started. So we'll be right back. Morning, Dave.
Good morning, Ray.
How are you?
I am giddy. I'm happy. I'm excited. I'm tired. I'm doing all right.
I love it. You know what? I accept all of those emotions on a Friday morning. I kind of have a feeling our audience feels the same way from the comments slowly coming in. I think people are slowly getting ready for their day. And for a lot of educators, I know some have started, but most of them are starting back in the classroom with students next week or the week after, especially in the Midwest. So we are slowly waking up. I'm thrilled you're here, Dave. I was excited to kind of like recap our Friday, finally get through an entire full week of daily drop-in again with you this morning. So I appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate the offer. It's been a good week. It's been a good couple of days, and to cap it off with you, it's a winner.
It's going to be so good. Well, for everybody that is here with us, good morning. We want to give you a morning cheers with your cup of coffee. We are thrilled that you are starting off your day with us, and we have a ton in store. I'm already seeing a comment here, Dave. You had a crazy night, and while I would like to get into who you are and all those things, I just want you to know I'm upset about this right here, upset.
Yeah. Don't worry about me. It's the one and only Katie Miglin. I got to hang out with the Miglin crew last night. And when I say the Miglin crew, I'm talking all of the Miglins. I got to hang out with Katie and her husband and her two adorable little kids. Actually, her two little adorable kids came here to my house and got to play with my kids and have a dance party and do all the things while grown-ups went and had some grown-up time. It was awesome.
Oh, I think that's so fun. First of all, I love having like fun activities in the evening, taking you away from work and kind of like turning your brain off. Second of all, I love the Miglin crew. And then you put together like the kids being there and you being able to meet somebody in person that you are connected with virtually. I'm a little jealous. I won't lie. I'm a little jealous.
It was good stuff. It was good stuff. You should be jealous.
So fun. We do have a bunch of people already tuning in the comments, sharing their good mornings. Remember that we are live every single morning, Monday through Friday on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. We are kicking this off. We've gone through almost a full week of daily drop-ins, and there's a lot of different pieces that we're looking to get out of daily drop-in. One is to truly, say good morning and get you started for the day. Dave, you obviously have your coffee. Have you brushed your teeth? Have you showered yet today? Are you like ready to go for your day, or do you still have big plans?
Okay. So Ray, you're asking me some very personal questions here, but
I am right off the bat.
Yes, I have. But it was a debate. If I'm being very honest, it was a debate this morning.
Tell me more.
When I set my alarm, I was trying to convince myself that I could just get a shower after this. Right. And then I was thinking, but Ray will probably be fresh and looking all clean. So I should probably. And then I thought, well, nobody will know. It's Dave. I'm like t-shirts and ball cap. Will people care? But I would care. And because I want to be the best version of me for you, Ray, yes, today teeth have been brushed. I've had a shower. Let's go.
You know what? We are all aspiring to be like you this morning. For all of you out there that are currently in the midst of brushing your teeth or sipping on your coffee, we accept you, smelly or not. That is this type of family. It's true.
But coffee after brushing teeth is a different taste than coffee before brushing teeth. Just saying.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. So do you have a policy on that? Is there like a right or wrong?
I don't, but I actually enjoy the second cup of coffee better than the first because the first one is always a little minty. That's all.
Okay. So with that argument, you're brushing your teeth before the coffee then?
Always, yeah. But so I the first cup is always just a black cup of coffee because it's got a little minty flavor already, But that second cup is when I throw in a little coconut or hazelnut or something like that, and I can really enjoy the flavors.
Wow. All right. I'd love to hear your votes in the comments if you are watching us live. That I feel like could be a big debate. That I like. But regardless of what order you're going in for your day today, we're thrilled that you're here. Hey, Dave, I know it's silly because you are, in my mind, like the almighty teach better man, but I want to make sure that people, if they haven't tuned in.
Hold on. Can you just say that one more time for me, please?
This is recorded. But if people haven't connected with you, Dave, you're live all the time. You're a huge element of our team. But if this is their first time tuning into Daily Drop-In, first time connecting with the team, can you kind of give us a little background on yourself?
Absolutely. So I'm the old man of the team, but I like your version of that description way better. Right. I'm entering year 22 in education. Whew. Yeah, it's been a long ride, but it's been amazing. Kind of done all the things. Started off as a middle school teacher, Middle School People Unite, and then kind of did all of the other things in education, from assistant principal, athletic director, middle school principal, elementary principal, assistant superintendent, professor. Get to hang out with you as often as I possibly can. Get to go on the road and work with schools and help grow them and help them reflect and just continue to be better. Also, father of 4 amazing kids, living in Florida right now, and it seems like everybody in the Teach Better team is coming to my house just to say hey for a few days every once in a while. So
we all just want to see the new digs, Dave.
Like what it is?
To Florida, and everyone's like, we need to go check out Dave's house. That's really what it is.
Well, just talk to Katie. She got the tour yesterday, so she'll fill you in.
Katie Miglin is joining Daily Drop-In here in a few weeks. I don't know if it's next week or the following week. So we will not be talking about education. We're just going to talk about, what it was like to visit your new digs in Florida.
So Ray, you might want to check the schedule and see who Katie Miglin's hanging out with the day that she comes in.
Oh no, is it not me? Is it you? No, are you sure? That makes me so upset.
Yes, it should.
Wait, guys, you know that I've been consistent on Daily Drop-In. There is literally only like 2 days that I have planned on not being here. You're telling me that Katie Miglin scheduled one of the days I'm not here? My entire day is ruined. I feel like I can't move on from here. I'm done. Daily Drop-In's canceled. I'm canceling all my meetings for today. I'm supposed to present at a conference. I'm not doing that anymore. Guys, I'm done. I'm going back to bed. Terrible. I will say that a bunch of the comments here all say, oh no, some of them are different. One says coffee before brush, and then the others say teeth before coffee. So apparently we're not in consensus here. I'm just saying. Jeff Gargis is watching. Jeff, can you tell us what you prefer? I feel like he has some like deep-rooted analysis of this decision, coffee versus brushing your teeth first. So
Jeff is kind of like me though too, where it's coffee all day long. Right. So
that's true.
I feel like he would have to be a teeth brush first. Otherwise, he's never brushing his teeth.
That's fair. Or could you do like a cup or two and then brush your teeth and then continue with your coffee?
So then at that point, why are you even brushing?
You're saying that you should only, what do you mean? Why are you brushing? You're brushing your teeth because you should brush your teeth in the morning. What do you mean by that?
Hold on. So we're getting into a conversation about what you should do just because you should do it. Is that what you just said?
Whoa. Are we about to poke the bear? This is uncomfortable. All right.
I brush my teeth with coffee. Well played, sir. Well played.
I would like everybody to make their decision on the coffee versus the teeth brushing. We'll be right back here because we're going to get into some good news. Here's some good news.
I would love to hear some good news.
Good news is that people are agreeing with me that you should brush your teeth first and then have coffee.
Okay, so to be fair, I could also say they're agreeing with me.
Whatever. All I'm saying is Jeff Gargis doesn't use toothpaste and he's just brushing his teeth with coffee, which is disgusting. I feel like we're not making people's morning any better. We're actually grossing them out.
Probably.
And then Mike here is saying the same thing. First a cup, then you brush your teeth, and then he continues with his coffee. I'm just saying.
So, see, for me, it's more like a logistics thing. I go past the bathroom where the toothbrush is before I get to the coffee pot. If I had a coffee pot right next to my bed, we might be having this conversation a little bit differently. But it's kind of like logistics. Just knock out the stuff on the way first and then go from there.
Okay, wait, this brings up an entirely new conversation because then my follow-up is, do you walk your dogs or do you brush your teeth or do you drink coffee first? Because if you're going to walk your dogs before either of those two activities, then you're walking by everything first anyway.
No, I don't walk my dogs first. My dog goes outside while I'm waiting for the coffee to come out.
Mm-hmm. Wow. And Megan Wells is telling us that we're grossing her out. We need to move forward. Let's get into some good news. Megan Wells, we appreciate you and all of your Green Heart love. And so we are going to change the daily drop-in dialogue to serve your needs because that's who we are. So you're welcome, Megan. We love you. All right. Hey, Dave, I don't know how familiar you are with this. This is actually a little bit of a passion. I'm going to nerd out a little bit. But the good news from today is from Walmart. Have you ever been to a Walmart?
I'm not familiar with this thing of which you speak. Walmart.
It is a very large store. Not sure if you've ever heard of it.
So it's the American version of Canadian Tire. That's a Brad Hughes thing. Got it.
And what I do want to celebrate about Walmart is a number of different things. However, this article, I really, really enjoyed catching this morning. As we talked about in the past on Daily Drop-In, we love to bring you good news every morning. And the hope would be that it brightens your day. Maybe it fosters conversation with you and a colleague or you and a counterpart when you are getting ready for your day. And then also, if you choose, you could bring this concept to your students and have them further discuss a number of different things that come from any news article that we feature. So this one specifically says Walmart announced a plan to pay 100% of college tuition plus books for its workers. Did you hear this?
I did. Yeah, I heard it on my drive the other day.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. So Walmart will be investing nearly $1 billion over the next 5 years in career-driven training and development for its workers. The largest U.S. private employer, the company announced last week that it will pay 100% of college tuition and books for its associates through its Live Better You education program. As of August 16th, the $1 a day fee will be removed from associates, making all education programs paid for by Walmart. You know, Walmart's not the only group that does this, but what are your thoughts on, organizations that are supporting their employees to continue their education?
Anytime we can eliminate that barrier to entry, I'm all for it. Especially in a situation with Walmart. Walmart tends to be a place that employees tend to lean towards the younger side, towards people that are out to just trying to hustle and make a living. But very few Walmart employees that this is designed for have Walmart as their end goal. That's somewhere that they want to stay for 30 years. And Walmart recognizes that. And they're not trying to capitalize on them and keep them there forever. They're saying, we understand that we are a starting place for you. Yeah. And we're going to help you go reach your dreams. I love it.
I've always had a little bit of like a soft spot in my heart for companies that do this because I had a dear friend in my life who, when I was connected to them, worked at Starbucks, and Starbucks did a huge tuition waiver. You could get a free education through Arizona State University, and they would pay for it. And you just had to be part-time with them. And what I loved about that, not only to see my friend thrive throughout that program, truly, like later in their life, go and get a college degree thanks to the business that they were working for, but also then to bring that information to my students who drove by Starbucks, drove by Walmart every day on their way to school and say, hey, if you're in a circumstance where you're trying to make decisions for your future, you could obviously go the traditional route and spend a ton of money and take out loans and go to college. Or as you're seeking out employment for your first job or later in your life, you could choose to be employed with an organization that's not only going to support you financially and teach you, incredible skills, but also support you in your future endeavors by allowing you to continue your education. I always thought that was such a fun element to bring up. And for the work that I was doing with students and creating, themed internships that are all sponsored by local businesses. I loved bringing in these businesses to sponsor our classroom because it really introduced them to a multitude of ways to further their education after high school.
Yeah, I love it on so many levels. And this is one of those things I could completely geek out about. But the idea of leaving college debt free, oh my gosh, how exciting is that? That you'll be working part-time through college, but your college will be paid for. So that when you leave college, you can actually start making money as opposed to working the next 30 years just to pay for college. I mean, oh, so exciting.
Yeah, I really have. I guess like from a business perspective, I can only imagine how challenging this is, right? You're essentially dishing out money to your employees. And in addition to that, sometimes you are elevating them to a point where they choose to leave your business so that they can go do bigger, better, other things. And I have no idea how businesses pull this off. I know Starbucks specifically has a relationship with Arizona State University because one of their co-founders or CEOs attended that university. So they have a really healthy partnership. But in terms of Walmart, for our good news today, I want to celebrate people, but organizations, but people that see that the work that they're doing has a larger intention. I think it's so wonderful that, of course, Walmart's mission is to do a lot of things, some of which is to get me Cheetos when I need them. But in addition to that, they're also taking care of people. And what a wonderful model to be able to put into place, that they are showing and proving that they are continuously striving to take care of people. I feel like that's so important.
Yeah, I love it. And I just love that mindset of, we could sit back and we could try to dissect why they're doing it, what's their ultimate goal, or we can just celebrate lives are going to be changed because of this. And as people looking for that good, looking for the impact that we're going to be having on other people is so needed. So especially on a Friday, just look for the good.
Look for the good. I wonder, looking for the good is sometimes a challenge. I mean, truly, I think, Dave, to be honest, I think you and I and a lot of the Teach Better team members are kind of known for trying to be solution focused, striving to be positive. I won't lie. I don't think that came naturally to me initially in my life. Like, I think it's something that I not only continue to work at, but something I worked very hard at early in my career, especially. Do you have any tips or tricks on how to get started with that? I truly believe our network is quite positive, but I had a day full of meetings yesterday, and 3 of my meetings were with members of the Teach Better family, the network that had scheduled time to meet with me for a variety of reasons. Negativity does creep into our lives. I even saw it yesterday.
Yeah. I don't want this to become like a commercial for anything, but Caitlin and I just did a webinar on this exact same thing.
Okay, wait. Yes. Tell me about that. Because I actually did not attend this webinar, so I would love for you to speak to it.
So the conversations that we had over the couple of weeks were how to get people to weigh in. So how to have conversations with people, not so that you can sell them, not so that you can persuade them, but so that you can truly listen and find those connections and those empathetic moments that allow compromise to happen or allow good conversations to happen. And so we introduced quite a few protocols for people as they're sitting down and having conversations with people. But I'll just give you a simple one today. This is a tactical and practical one that I know that you love it when we leave with tactical and practical, right? So it's a protocol called circle, square, triangle. And this is something that you can do when you're having a conversation, when you're reading something, when you feel that you're immediately jumping to judgment. Okay. So circle, square, triangle. So say somebody is listening to this conversation right now and they've got a pen or paper in their hand. You would just write a circle, a square, and a triangle. For the circle, write down things that you hear that you want to circle back to later on. You're not 100% sure yet, or something that, like, if you were reading something, you would highlight it or write it in red. So something you want to circle back to, or that you have a question about, you write it down. A square is something that squares with your thinking. You have to find something that aligns with your line of thought, your purpose, your vision, your beliefs. Write it down. And then the triangle is that delta, the thing that you want to change, the thing that you're pushing back against, that either you need to change or they need to change. But when you do this protocol, when you then enter into that conversation with somebody, you have already found those commonalities. You've already found their positive intentions. You already recognize that you have some questions about this and that you don't have all of the answers before you jump in trying to say, I completely disagree. So it's just a powerful practice that anything that you're reading, thinking about, talking about, or if you know you're going to be in a difficult conversation, that you can script and plan.
Okay, Dave, I needed this yesterday. I don't know where you were, but
I'll hang out with Katie Miglin.
Yeah, I'm even more upset about the Katie Miglin hangout yesterday because I was in a meeting yesterday where I could have very easily had, notes in front of me or even just on my lap. You wouldn't have
Right.
seen it, and I could have done this practice of things I want to circle back to ensure that I don't forget about them, things that I have in common with the people that I'm conversing with, so we can, foster that relationship, but also, create that mutual respect and find our common ground. And then things I want to change, I assume that the things I want to circle back to are going to help me with the elements I want to change. Is that always the case or not necessarily?
Not always. Sometimes the thing that needs to change is your own mindset, right? Sometimes you walk in, you think, I know what I know. I need to have this conversation because they are wrong. But if
Mm-hmm.
you, in the conversation or in the moment, if you write down things that you just need to ask clarifying questions on, not so that you can persuade and manipulate, but because you truly want to understand better. Because the
Yeah.
ultimate goal is, again, assuming the good. You have to assume that people disagree or have different mindsets or ways of doing things because ultimately they have good intentions. But you need to try to figure out why their intentions are different than yours or why their beliefs are different. So you just want to get clarification.
That is such a valuable, just quick strategy. I mean, truly, I think that circle, square, triangle, that's something that everybody could choose to use today or even later this year. I would love to bring that strategy even into my classroom with my
Yes.
students when we're in a disagreement or when we're in a discussion. What are things that we need to circle back to that are coming up? What are elements that we can universally kind of all agree on? And what are things that we are looking to see change for? You could do this for any type of topic. Holy cow, I
Yeah.
love that strategy. So
I,
good.
I've seen this used in classrooms in so many different ways, whether it's a social studies classroom where they're studying something from history and you have to try to determine whether or not it was the right decision or if that civilization did things the right way. I've seen it in math where a student explains their rationale for how they solved a problem and the rest of the class has to discuss and decide whether or not they agree. So many different possibilities.
Oh, that's so stinking valuable. I'm seeing some questions come in and also some celebration that they are loving these strategies. I want to keep getting strategies from you, Dave, but I think we should move on to our next segment for our brainstorm bank. And that will allow us to keep diving into not only the questions that our community has that are watching live with us for some tactical takeaways that they can utilize not only this week, but in coming weeks. But also, I'd love to get into our theme for the week, which is about the concept of implementing new ideas. We've been discussing this all week long. I wonder if this strategy or other elements kind of help us be more successful in that. So we're going to transition really quick and we'll be right back. All right, Dave, I know that you're new to Daily Drop-In this morning, and it's very, very early. But for those of you who are not new to our Daily Drop-In, you've been tuning in all week long, you know that our Brainstorm Bank is a spot that you can go, teachbetter.com/brainstorm bank. You can submit questions at any point in time or topics for us to discuss, and then we will make sure that we brainstorm and do our best to connect you with possible resources and solutions as you move forward. This is something that I've discussed numerous times this week. Head over to teachbetter.com/brainstorm bank and just save that link. Whether you are submitting it right now while we're live, maybe you're submitting your questions in the comments currently, or if you are in the middle of your day, a student asks you a question or you have a hurdle with a mini lesson and you want to talk through it, you want to discuss possible solutions, open up that link, teachbetter.com/brainstorm bank, and feel free to submit your idea. And then hopefully within 24 hours, we're able to then bring that onto our daily drop-in and continue to foster that discussion. So Dave, a lot of the discussion this week related to our brainstorm bank, related to our theme for the week, has been dedicated to implementing new ideas. You know better than anybody, you've been traveling like crazy this week, supporting educators, not only in conference settings, but also in a district format, because people are getting ready to head back to school. And a lot of educators spend their summer reflecting and finding new tools and resources that they want to go incorporate this fall. So kind of like starting off our daily drop-in week with the concept of implementing a new idea seemed appropriate. We have spent essentially every day building on the process of implementing a new idea. But I want to throw it to you first. Tell us about your week, Dave. You've supported educators all over the place. And as you were doing that, I can only imagine that there were new ideas flowing.
Yeah, you're so right. So right. So yeah, I've been all over the place, spent a couple of days in Louisville, Kentucky, spent some time up in Freeport, Illinois, got to fly home and then hang out with Katie Miglin. I'm just going to keep mentioning that every time I can. And now I'm hanging out with you. But you're right. Having a lot of great conversations with educators and teachers who are fired up. They are ready to try some new things. They are ready to go into their classrooms and change destinies, change lives, and even just change their own world. But there's always those Sir Mix-a-Lot moments in all of these conversations where people throw out those big buts where they say, I would do this, but, and then there are these walls that prevent them from doing things. So I'm so glad that we're doing this so we can try to knock down some of those walls for people and give them the things that they need to take those leaps.
Well, and to be honest, Dave, anytime you bring up a big overarching topic and you're planning on bringing in multiple voices to the conversation, you kind of don't know how it's going to go, right? I mean, we had some really familiar faces this week, a lot of which we're going to preview or reflect on here in just a little bit for our daily drop-in next segment. But for right now, we really saw an evolution to this process of discussing implementing a new idea. We started at the beginning of the week discussing how a new idea, when you've decided that this idea is going to be in your future, how do you want to approach it, right? Do you want to take small bites and slowly move throughout the process over a long period of time? Or do you kind of want to dive right in? And then the next discussion, the next layer, the next layer of our deli sandwich discussing this was, once you decide how you're going to approach it, how are you going to determine if you're successful? So what are those measurables? What are you actually looking to see? And what measurables can you look at to slowly begin to evaluate, are you working in the right direction or working in the wrong direction? The next element of that then came up with our next guest was, okay, so you know how you're going to approach it, you know what your measurables are, but what happens when those hurdles come about? How are you going to overcome those hurdles? There was a lot of discussion around kind of surrounding yourself with the right network and, discussing who you're going to go to overcome some of the struggles that might come your way. And the last piece that was then added in yesterday with our incredible guest with Caitlin Giordano, she focused a lot on needing to also give yourself grace throughout the process, that being human doesn't make you unprofessional. That was a big quote from yesterday's discussion, something that I know was featured on multiple social medias. I was tagged in a few Instagram stories of people evaluating that statement alone that she made at about the 45-minute mark of our daily drop-in. This reminder that being human, showing your flaws, showing that you are reflecting, adapting, and changing when you're implementing a new idea doesn't make you unprofessional. It makes you a wonderful element of this growth. So the last layer of this, right? We have 5 days of daily drop-in. I think a big part of this is what do you do next, right? What's the next step from there?
Oh, Ray, how much time do I have here?
A lot of time. Daily drop-in, lots of time.
But when you throw out some Caitlin Giordano isms and say build from this, it can only be amazing because she is phenomenal and she is filled with so much truth. But you're so right and she is so right. So I'm going to build off of what she said yesterday, and I'm going to throw this challenge out to educators. Worry more about being a role model than being highly effective. That needs to be your goal. We want to raise a generation of risk takers. We want to raise a generation that's willing to push against. We want to raise a generation that's willing to ask critical questions. We want to raise a generation that's willing to think outside the box and do something that's never been done before. Mm-hmm. And the way that the next generation will learn that is from our actions, not just our words, not just us telling them you need to change, you need to grow, but by actually modeling that. But at the same time, we also know as educators, when we take risks, when we try something new in our classrooms, sometimes there are epic failures. And I think one of the things that prevents educators from taking those epic risks is this fear of, well, what if somebody comes into my room and watches everything falling apart? What if I get dinged in my evaluation? What if somebody doesn't think I'm highly effective because of this? The reality is, I would rather focus on those kids in your classroom learning about taking chances and learning that you're willing to try something new. Listening to you say, I tried something and it didn't go well, but here's what we're going to do differently tomorrow, then worry about the label that's going to be attached to you at the end of the year.
Dave, it's funny. You have people in the comments, I'm not even showing all of them, that are going through, oh my gosh, say that again, say that louder for the people in the back. I mean, you are truly talking about wanting to be a role model and having that be the intention. That way, when failures occur or when bumps in the road occur. You know, I mean, depending on how you're defining that, you're just modeling the fact that you were doing something, you had a reason that you thought that that was a good decision. And then if it doesn't work, there's still a win there, right?
Yes.
There's still a victory to be celebrated.
Yeah, you're so right. So one of my favorite people on the planet, Becky Schnexer, you're familiar with her work.
I am familiar.
She gave me a definition for science that I absolutely loved. And her definition is science is the art of being less wrong. So I love that because, 22, 23 years ago when I was first becoming an educator, I remember learning about teaching being both an art and a science. And I think that definition is so good. Being an effective teacher, being a highly effective teacher is the art of being less wrong, which means go out there, be wrong, make some mistakes, but then tomorrow be less wrong. But you've got to go take those chances.
I think that's so important. I love that idea. I'm gonna have to put that on a quote, like on my desk, like to remind me, like, hey, don't stress about this. I love that. Lindsay Titus is adding in some comments here saying limiting yourself because it might not lead to a highly effective teacher is using someone else's definition to define who you are as an educator. So important to look within, take those risks, and do what's best for students. There are a lot of fun comments coming in about that really resonating with them. Dave, I find myself when we're talking about new ideas kind of like giggling. I feel like I implement new ideas like every 5 minutes because
I feel that way about you too.
But I'm not saying that the ideas that I had in place yesterday weren't valuable for now, but I feel like new ideas, I don't feel like teachers give themselves credit for all the new ideas that they're already bringing to the table. And they feel like a lot of teachers feel like they have to set big, audacious dreams, big, audacious goals to be able to say, yeah, I implemented a new idea.
It can be so simple. Can I just give some examples real quick? Because another Schmittouism. I'm a huge believer that people buy into experiences before they buy into statistics. A person with an experience will never be swayed by a person with research. So listen to the stories, listen to experiences here. Back when I was an elementary principal for a season in my life, I worked in a school that struggled. It was a school that had received basically 2 decades of F grades, according to the state. And it was a school with a lot of pressure to improve. A lot of people in fancy suits with polished shoes would come in and tell the teachers to follow the script, to do what was necessary to show the improvements. Knowing me, I didn't necessarily buy into that. So I would tell my teachers, when the suits are here, follow the script, do what you've got to do. I understand the pressures are here. However, one day a week, we picked one day a week, and it was Wednesdays. One day a week, we were going to break the mold, and I would challenge the teachers to try something different every Wednesday. At first, it started with me scripting things. Like we would have a paperless Wednesday. Try to teach this coming Wednesday with no paper whatsoever, or try to teach this Wednesday with an hour of outdoor activity, or try to teach this Wednesday with your classroom reversed and use the back room, whatever it was, just to try to get them to think, how would I need to arrange things if I did something differently? Because I wanted them to recognize they had the power to change simple things about their classroom. Are you going to teach today with your lights on or your lights off? Teach today barefoot instead of with shoes on. Just simple things just to try to get them to start evolving. And then eventually, I didn't have to give them those scripts anymore. I didn't have to say, this is what we're doing this Wednesday. The teachers would start sharing what they were going to do on Wednesdays. And Wednesdays were the day because it allowed them to reflect on it on Thursday, to have a conversation with their students about what worked or what didn't. And then on Friday, they could have a conversation with their peers about how to be successful in the next challenge the next day. So the weekend, they could go and create those plans. So just do something simple like that. Set a plan for what you can do one day a week, something different next week that's going to encourage you to just step outside of your comfort zone.
I have never heard this story, Dave. I feel like we've had hours and hours and hours of conversation and dialogue, you and I, throughout our friendship that I know has not been that long, but I have never heard that example. I love that concept. I love the simplicity of it, to be completely frank. I mean, how cool is it to have your principal not only tell you to take risks, but give you like kind of a goofy idea of how to take a risk? Because once you've practiced taking a risk that's goofy, right, numerous times, you're less fearful of then maybe the risk that isn't so silly or isn't so goofy that could have a massive impact, but at one point in time seemed too far-fetched to really take on because fear would stop you. Do you know what I mean?
No, completely. And I don't know how much time we have for me to completely unpack this idea. But
do it.
Okay, so we took it a step further as well, because it's one thing for a teacher to take a risk isolated in their classroom. And sometimes that's the safe way to do it. I can close my door, I can take a risk, and nobody needs to know whether it went right or wrong. I'm one of those people that if I'm taking a chance on something, I really don't tell people. I don't want people to know, just in case it goes wrong and I have to explain that I'm not perfect, as though people think I am, right? It's this weird dynamic. But teachers were the same way at times. We like to close our doors so that nobody knows about the imperfections. Yeah. So at that same school, we had these challenge Wednesdays, but then we also did some other things to try to magnify that impact and to really grow it so it wasn't just isolated to classrooms. Because I didn't want teachers just reflecting on their own practice or going in and doing something crazy without then getting some feedback on whether it worked or didn't. Like you said, the goals for this week, do something different, but you also have to determine if it worked, what you're going to tweak, what you're going to do differently, how you can be a scientist and make it less wrong the next time. I don't want you to just teach without paper one Wednesday and move on. I don't want you to teach with the shoes off one Wednesday and move on. I want you to figure out what about that made that lesson successful or not. So at my school, we eliminated staff meetings, which was a big deal. We said no more after school staff meetings, and we started meeting every single morning for what we called a daily huddle. It was a daily drop-in essence. Every morning we came together as a staff for 10 minutes. And about 7+ minutes of that were just celebrating the risks that people took the day before. Just having teachers share what happened in their classroom, the epic failures that happened, or talking about the stories they heard from another classroom, so we could spread the risk-taking mentality. And then teachers who were nominated for taking an epic risk the day before, if they could explain why it worked or didn't work and what they were going to do differently, got a little brag tag. It was a little dog tag with a pirate medallion on it that they got to wear, and it became part of their bling. And they would be wearing, I'd have teachers walking around with 30 or 40 brag tags every day as a part of their unofficial uniform, that then when they're jingling up and down the halls, they're having conversations with kids about all the risks that they took and how they earned these brag tags, which then encourages kids to take risks and challenges, and it allows teachers to start having conversations. And they're going to other classrooms of the teachers with all the bling to figure out what they're doing, and it just starts to grow. So encourage it and let it grow.
Well, and I love so many different elements of this. One is the physical element that you can see of someone taking a risk, because I vividly remember the thousands and thousands of times that I would risk something in my classroom, but do it only behind closed doors. Yeah. And so while there may have been reflection happening, while my students may have been benefiting from those risks, no one really could see it. And I wasn't getting that full effect from it because I didn't have any outward reflection, outward discussion. It definitely is a different approach. When you're able to add a physical, like whatever, the brag tag or something else, a physical element to, hey, over here, I took a risk. You're not only opening up somebody to have a future conversation, like it sounds like what happened down the hallways of your building, not only modeling for students, but you're modeling for your colleagues that you tried something. I'm sure some of those things were really successful. Some of them didn't go so well. And it creates a very safe space to question. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's incredible.
Yeah, no, it completely makes sense. And again, I get internal motivation, external motivation, passing out trinkets, all that. I understand that part of the argument, but I'll also challenge people this way. Here in the States, probably some of the bravest, most internally motivated people in our country here in the States are U.S. military, people that go out there and risk themselves for us day in and day out. When you look at their uniforms, they are glittered with brag tags, right? They are adorned with, you went out there and you did something for us. Let's honor that. You took a risk. You tried something new. Let's honor that. They've got medals all over, and that inspires others to take similar risks. So,
it's so funny, Dave. I know that we're supposed to be really professional on Daily Drop-In, although I have to stop for a second because I never worked in a building that had brag tags. Like, this was a wonderful idea. I'm sure that there are so many celebrations there that former educators you worked with could kind of celebrate in the fun. There was a element, I don't know if you remember this, but there was this thing called COVID that took over last year's school year. I'm not sure if you're familiar with.
I've been kind of removed from the classroom.
Oh, yeah. I mean, no one's heard of it, but if you're really in the trenches, you've heard of this concept. And everybody, I'm thinking like at the time that this was happening, it was during Teacher Appreciation Week at the building that I was at last year. And, people are just trying to get through the stinking day, right? Like really, I mean, whether they're trying new ideas or not, it's tiring. It's May. We're waiting for the end of the year. And my principal, only like he can, implemented this new idea during Teacher Appreciation Week with our PTO that they were going to hide tickets all over the school. I don't know if you heard us discuss this. Katie Miglin and I worked in the same building last year, and there were orange little tickets all over the school. I really couldn't tell you what you could get for the orange tickets. I think there were prizes. I don't really know. But the art of walking around, finding the tickets, students being able to give the tickets to the teachers, people were like celebrating, carrying around these buckets and buckets and buckets of tickets. Sometimes the smallest outward celebration can have the largest impact, because that was maybe my favorite week of the school year last year. And I can't really tell you why I wanted the orange tickets, but it was so fun to go around the school with students and hunt for them and celebrate them and brag to other teachers that you had them. And it really created so much laughter and celebration. And I don't really know what they did besides walk around and hide orange tickets everywhere.
That's amazing. And now think about the community that was formed as well as a result of that. Now you've got all your kids. It's like Wonkaville. Everybody's out there looking for the golden tickets now. I love that.
No, it was so fun. And I think that, I'm kind of envisioning like the brag tags being something that teachers could wear. It was something that is physical that they could celebrate with. I think that element of bringing a little bit of goofy, a little bit of physical into our schools to not only celebrate laughter, celebrate community, but celebrate victories of trying something or taking a risk, it really does add such an interesting element. So whether you're doing this colleague to colleague or with students, anytime you're implementing a new idea, I love kind of finding a way to incorporate some sort of physical celebration that you tried something new, so that people can ask and engage and question. And I just think that's such a fun element of this. So cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And Andrea brings up a point about it being like your flair. So I don't know how many people remember like Office Space or even TGI Fridays or whatever. Or the wait staff used to have all their flair all over. In essence, they were pins or patches that serve the purpose of a tattoo. It allows you to put your values on display and let the world know what you think and the cool things about you. That's kind of what the brag tags were. It allowed you to say, look, I like taking risks, or I'm willing to take a risk, and I think you should as well.
Yeah.
It wasn't competitive. It was a celebration. And the same thing then transfers into kids. Morning meetings. Instead of at morning meetings sitting around and talking always about what you had for dinner the night before or the sporting event that took place, have the conversation. What risks did you take yesterday? What did you try that was outside of your comfort zone? And spread it amongst your kids as well.
Oh, so powerful, Dave. I love that element. I think it kind of beautifully wraps up the week that we've had celebrating new ideas, that not only you should be doing all these pieces we discussed all week, but adding this final element of really sharing that with more than just yourself, right? Sharing these moments of celebration, encouraging others to do the same, and in a way that isn't intimidating, but in a way that truly comes from a moment of celebration. People love to celebrate. We love to start off our daily drop-in with the morning cheers. We love celebrating everyone's victories. And so if you can open up the opportunity for those conversations to happen over and over and over again, gosh, what an incredible culture you can create. Dave, we're going to transition here into our next segment, which is all about recapping our week, which lends itself beautifully to this concept. So we'll be right back. So Dave, it's Friday. This is a new segment for Daily Drop-In because we are essentially recapping the week versus previewing the week. So we are going to kind of go over all the things that we've been able to accomplish, all the things, all the conversations, all the people, and recap just in case anybody listening here wasn't able to tune in every single day for every single moment of Daily Drop-In and want to make sure that they catch those moments that may be really impactful for them. So are you ready to start that recap?
Let's do it.
Awesome. I know that we should always probably start with the beginning of the week, but that means we are starting with the almighty Jeff Gargas. Are you okay starting with Jeff Gargas? I know you're
I'm okay.
different.
I'm okay starting with Jeff Gargas if we don't call him the almighty Jeff Gargas.
Oh, Jeff Gargas. As you guys know, Jeff Gargas is a huge part of the Teach Better team. What's his title? He's the COO of the team, co-founder. He's kind of a big deal. I don't know. And to be honest, you also learned that we'll be starting our mornings every single Monday with Jeff Gargas. So I'm excited to kind of kick off the week with him every single week that we are having Daily Drop-In Monday through Friday. Jeff has an incredible way about him, doesn't he? But I really enjoyed our Monday because we kicked off Daily Drop-In. This was the first time that we were able to bring this segment back after we had done it a few times in 2020 throughout COVID. And Daily Drop-In started because we wanted to create a safe space to have conversation. Just like we did today, Dave, we want to make sure that people have a space to celebrate and ask questions and bring up ideas. And so we went live during 2020 multiple times to be around, be accessible, be available. So bringing this back again was so fun. And we're able to celebrate that and then get into this overarching topic we had for the week, all about implementing new ideas, which is where he talked about, either starting by diving in or these small little bites and pieces. And we really evaluated the pros and cons of that. Do you typically fall with a new idea one way or the other? Do you dive in head first or do you take it slowly? I feel like I know the answer already.
I think you probably do as well. But the bottom line is either way, like whether you dip your toes in water or you jump into the deep end, you're going to end up getting wet. So whichever one works for you is fine. I tend to jump into the deep end.
You do.
But because I jump into the deep end, I often find myself doggy paddling and looking for the side very, very quickly. But at least I'm soaking wet and I'm already in the pool and I can't think twice once I'm in. So
to be fair, Dave, we discussed a lot of that component of making that decision. I think there's pros and cons both ways.
Yep.
So if you're interested in kind of evaluating that for yourself more and you're listening to Daily Drop-In now, head over to Monday's episode. You can catch it on any of the social media platforms, obviously, that we're streaming on right now. And then also as episodes in Teach Better Talk podcast that will feature Daily Drop-In episodes 5 times a week. Dave, I'm not sure if you caught it, but Tuesday we brought in Brad Hughes. Brad Hughes is insane. I really, really love chatting with him. He's incredible. And I know he's very active in, obviously you're very involved in the Teach Better team. He's a really active member in the admin mastermind that you facilitate on Tuesdays.
Yeah, Brad Hughes is that guy that when I know I'm talking to him, I can skip my ab workout for the day because I'm going to be laughing so much when I'm hanging out with him. He is incredible. Love me some Brad Hughes.
And he's actually going to be a staple for Daily Drop-In for the next few weeks. He's going to pop in here and there, but then he'll be our staple for our Friday recap. So Dave, you're actually replacing Brad right now, and he will eventually be here every single Friday, not only for our recap, but to add in some of that laughter. So we're excited that he's going to be a part of our Daily Drop-In on a more consistent basis. And his focus really was finding those measurables. I know, Dave, you're a data guy. Measurables was a big conversation on Tuesday. I can only imagine that was a conversation that you would value.
Yeah. I've told people before, when I used to interview and try to hire new staff members, I would only ask 2 questions that I cared about. One is, who are you? What do you value? And the second one was, at the end of the day, how do you know if it's been a good day or a bad day? Because that is at the heart of, do you know if you're finding success and what you need to tweak?
And I think that I'm struggling. One element that I've really struggled with new ideas is identifying. I know why I'm implementing a new idea, but sometimes I don't pick the right thing to measure to be able to determine if I'm headed in the right direction. And I know you and I specifically, just on a personal level, when it comes to projects you and I have worked on, you have helped me a lot evaluate, okay, this is where you want to be. And here are all the measurables you could choose to monitor. Which ones actually matter to you? And what does it mean to look at that data? And so if you guys are interested in looking further into those measurables, understanding what might be a measurable for you and a new idea, obviously tune into Tuesday's episode with Brad Hughes of Daily Drop-In. But Dave, to me, you would be somebody I would love to recommend for somebody to reach out to and say, okay, I don't know how to evaluate this. Give me some coaching on this idea.
I would love to help with that, because I'm not necessarily the guy that's going to say whether or not it was good or bad, but I'll help you figure out ways that you can measure for yourself whether it was good or bad.
Yeah, you do an art of that, Dave. You are a master question asker. You are really good.
I'll take that, I think.
Like, truly, I have said in many workshops where somebody comes to me later and they're like, we just sat in an 8-hour meeting with you and Dave, and sometimes Chad's there, and they're like, and all Dave did was strategically ask questions. It's awesome. Later this week, we then got into Amanda joined us. Amanda from the Teach Better team is, first of all, a personality. I adore Amanda. We actually focused that day on a lot of different things, a lot of which focused on mastery learning, because Amanda is a full-time elementary school teacher in Ohio, and she implements a mastery learning classroom with like second graders. I mean, there was a lot of insight she had to share there, because if you can, imagine a self-paced classroom with second graders, I mean, that girl is a powerhouse, and she does incredible things with the team. But we also focused on, the camaraderie of implementing a new idea and having kind of a partner in crime that you're working with in doing that. So she added a beautiful layer of that conversation. And then obviously Caitlin Giordano yesterday was wonderful to chat with. We had a lot of comical elements of our discussion. And then I think the biggest mic drop moment for me, it's still something that I'm getting messages about yesterday, was her focus on being a human. And this kind of led into that conversation because we discussed the art of using video for communication. It was a beautiful preview for next week, because our overarching theme for next week is communication. But she did a wonderful job focusing on how mistakes aren't always mistakes if they're human mistakes. And I know you're very close with Caitlin and would always celebrate in the work that she's doing.
And I love it, especially from someone like Caitlin, who, when you look at her, you think, you don't make mistakes. So who are you to talk about this? But that's part of the beauty of it, is that she is living proof of you can continue to make mistakes and continue to refine and continue to get better. So that was good stuff.
Yeah, so good. Dave, for next week, we are discussing back to school communication. I can only imagine that you have a lot of ideas and strategies on how that should be an effective element of our beginning of the year tips and tricks. Do you have a typical communication style that you recommend if you were going to like preview this topic for people that are tuning in now and eager for next week?
Yeah. So you mentioned the idea of questions. Only ask questions that you're actually going to do something with and use. The beginning of the school year, we're all about relationships. We're all about building trust and camaraderie, and all that stuff matters because feedback matters. And I mean, we can go into that conversation down the road. But at the beginning of the year, so a teacher, whether you are in kindergarten or 12th grade, I'm going to offer you a challenge. This year, maybe instead of asking the kid what their favorite color is, what their favorite movie is, what their favorite song is, but it's all good information, but that you're not going to be able to do anything with, ask yourself a question. And the question is, could you, if money wasn't an option, could you buy each kid on your list a personal birthday present that would resonate with them, that would make them feel like you notice them? And challenge yourself in that first week to identify what that present would be if money wasn't an option. Don't go buy it, but just ask yourself, do you know what makes that kid tick? Do you know what makes them passionate? Do you know what makes them smile? And then use that knowledge all year long to harness those connections.
What a great strategy. I cannot wait to dive. I just feel like next week is going to be full of those tactical strategies, like one that you just shared. What can you actually go do? What should be your mindset you're carrying in communication? Communication, in my mind, is one of the most important things that you need to have always at the tip of your tongue in terms of wanting to think through what your focus is. And I think the way that we communicate can really set us up for success. So I'm so excited to focus on that next week. Next week, we have a variety of guests joining us, Dave. Just so you know, Jeff Gargis is joining us on Monday. Katie Miglin is joining us on Tuesday. So she is going to add in a lot of different details of communication. So not to brag, Dave, but I do get to go live with her next week. I just checked the calendar.
Will she be in person with you?
No.
Okay. Just saying.
Okay. What are you bragging that you dinner with her? Whatever. We also have a number of other guests. I don't want to share all of them right now, but one is Dr. Neil Gupta will be joining us next week to discuss communication. Holy cow. I can only imagine Neil having a great strategy that he can share for communication. And then Holly Stewart is also joining us next week for Daily Drop-In. She is an incredible educator. I can only imagine that her focus on communication is something that she's tried a bunch of different ideas for and has ideas for us. So I can't wait to have all of them here with us. Before we end our time today, Dave, obviously people are finishing up their Friday. They're headed into the weekend. Daily Drop-In will start up again on Monday morning, bright and early at 7 a.m. Eastern or 6 a.m. for us because we're in our central time zone. What should people be considering or focusing on this weekend that can help them be successful for next week, whether it's next week while they're implementing a new idea because they're back in the classroom. Next week, they're still on summer vacation, but they're going to tune in for Daily Drop-In that's focused on communication. What's kind of the challenge that we can leave them with?
Yeah, this one's going to sound weird, but go with me here. I want people to get themselves comfortable being uncomfortable, doing something different. Mm-hmm. So a prime example, when I'm putting on my shoes, this is weird. You're probably too much information here, but when I'm putting on my shoes, wait.
Can I preface? Too much information. We did talk about brushing your teeth.
Yeah, I know.
And if you had showered, I think we're past that.
All right, we're past all that. So when I put on my shoes, I always start left sock, left shoe, right shoe. It's just the way I do it. When people are getting ready this morning and putting on the shoes, just be conscious of which shoe do you put on first, because it's always the same. And then tomorrow, do the opposite. Tomorrow, intentionally try to put on the other shoe first. Or even like your pant legs. Which pant leg do you do first? Tomorrow, do the opposite, because it's not going to change the outcome. Either way, your shoes are going to be on, your pants are going to be on, but just get yourself comfortable thinking, I can step out of my routine and I can do something different, because that will then translate into you being more comfortable doing something different in your classroom with your kids all year long. Simple. It's simple, but just focus on it and see if you can do something different.
What does it say about me that you said that and my chest got really tight and I'm feeling a lot of anxiety right now?
Right?
Why would that be? Who cares what shoe you put on first?
But it is hard. It is hard to step out of it and to be consciously aware of all of the routines and all the things that you just do because you just do it. But that is the nature of life, is we continue to just do things because we've just done things. So step out and see, are you capable of doing something different?
Wow. I would love to see in the comments before we end here, if you, when putting on your pants, do right or left or right. I guess I'm confused, Dave. You're saying that you go left foot first?
Yeah.
Are you left-handed?
I am not. I'm not.
I don't understand left first.
I don't either, but it's what I do.
I think I go right.
Well, now you're thinking about it because you think, but experiment, let us know, and then really step out this weekend and share the results. And it sounds like it's a simple thing, but I'm warning you people, it is difficult to be conscious. You throw on your sandals or your flip-flops, do the other way. I mean, whatever you normally do, when you're putting on your shirt, left arm first or right arm, just be conscious of what is comfortable and then deviate and do the opposite.
Can I preface, when Dave says to share results, he doesn't mean to take a video.
No.
That's not what he meant. Going to cause controversy. Twitter's blowing up. No, we just want you to share with us what you typically do and what you changed already. We are already seeing some conversation of, Candace says right first for both pants and shoes. Nikki says left, then right, also not left-handed. I don't know what's wrong with you people. But Mike is questioning forwards or backwards. I don't know if this has to do with shoes or pants, but I'm confused regardless.
Maybe hats? Maybe hats. That's what I'm guessing with.
Yes. Megan says if she falls down tomorrow morning, she's blaming you.
That's awesome. Okay, let me clarify. You're not putting your left shoe on your right foot or your right shoe on your left foot. It's just the order in which you're doing things. And feel free to sit on the edge of your bed with all of these things. So.
Okay, I'm very excited to see the breakdown of all of this. But to be honest, Dave, it was a wonderful challenge because you really are giving us strategies, giving us small tips and tricks throughout this entire episode that are small little things we can do that allow us to shift our mindset, shift our comfort in the right direction. And if nothing else, I couldn't be more appreciative that continues to be not only something you share with us here on Daily Drop-In, but even when I work with you, one-on-one or in small groups or with the team, you are constantly just making people, question enough that they're still within that proximity of challenging themselves, of growth. And I always appreciate that about you. I'm so excited for people to take on these small little nuggets that you shared this morning and have them really take that on for the weekend to start their week off right next week. It's going to be great.
I'm excited about it as well. I'm going to go throw on my shoes right foot first today just to see if I can still do it. So
just to see if you can do it. Dave, thanks so much for joining us. I cannot wait to have future conversations with you. Obviously, you'll be back on Daily Drop-In, so I'm not even going to pretend like you won't be. And for everybody else, we are hope you're enjoying your last sip of coffee. And we want nothing more than for you to have an incredibly successful day. And obviously, feel free to reach out at any point because we are here to support you. If you enjoyed this Daily Drop-In, by the way, make sure you share this on whatever social media platform you are watching from. We'd love to continue to support all educators, regardless of what time they get up in the morning, even if they're on the West Coast. And, it's bright and early for them with our Daily Drop-In start time of 7 a.m. Eastern. But we love to see you Monday through Friday, and we will be back on Monday to continue to kick off your morning the right way. Thanks, Dave. We'll see you later.
Take care.